All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and mock up the intercooler piping, really just because I'm still not done with the interior, but this is just more satisfying. So what I've got so far, and this kit came off Amazon, I'll link it down in the description. I got the blue couplers because the blue coupler kit was actually like $30 cheaper than the black one. And since I plan on welding this anyway, shouldn't be too many couplers that are visible. So a couple things, I did have to buy. This is a 2.5 inch to 3 inch adapter from the throttle body. I was able to squeeze this 2.5 over, but it did take a little persuading and massaging to get that on. Of course, the intercooler is already mounted. I got that mounted and centered how I want it. So that's my first step. Then a 90-degree coupler. You could probably use a bin here too, but 90-degree coupler that came with the kit. Right off the intercooler to a 45. And again, that's just how that pipe came. And then there's 90-degree bend. And I got it sitting here like this. You can see where I've marked it just with my marker about where the throttle body sits. I'm actually gonna cut a little left of that because I would rather it be too long than not long enough. Obviously, because it's easier to cut more as opposed to adding material. So it should have a pretty sharp 90 coming right off the throttle body. I should have enough space to run a full-size battery, even though I plan on running a smaller one in the future. So I have that 90 coming right off the throttle body. And then this 45, and it looks like another 45 will connect these two pipes here. So if I have it sitting in here, I'm gonna kind of trying to mock everything up, make my marks, double, triple check them, and then go ahead and use my chop saw to cut them. Now, aluminum is a pretty soft metal, so a good wood blade will actually work just fine. So actually, I just noticed if I had went with a 90-degree coupler here with a 2.5 or 2 3/4 on one side, you can actually use just two 45-degree bends, I think, because without it, just mock this up, you would have to cut this bottom piece. But as you can see, hopefully, it almost lines up. So if I had a 90-degree here, I could probably make that work with really just these two pieces and just weld them up there. But I am on a bit of a timeline here to get this done, so I'm not gonna bother to order it. I'm just gonna make this work and just trim this down. Now, these kits, I've always got like a love-hate. I mean, this is a pretty decent kit. The metal looks good. We'll see how it welds. You can tell if it's really like pure aluminum or pure enough. They give you these straights, but you don't need these. I mean, you may need some just to cut it up for extension pieces, but typically in cutting like the actual bends, you'll get enough spare pipe to use. I mean, you definitely don't need two of these. Like, why would you end up needing, like, I don't know why you would need 6 feet of straight pipe. Again, maybe give me one of these and give me another bend, another 90, 45, another U, even better. I don't really understand why they include all these, because all these kits are pretty much the same pieces. And one thing, of course, you want to look at is your couplers to see the quality of the kit. The silicone should be flexible. You want to see, again, this thread in here, because this is where it is multiple layers of silicone. These are line here. This is where they tape the outside of it. They shouldn't be too big, and it should be pretty uniform. You don't want to see a lot of fraying on your threads. That means it's probably cheap threads, because these are going to be under a lot of pressure. Like with the cold air intake, you can get away with like those cheap AutoZone Spectre ones, but those don't flex, and you will blow those off under, like, you know, a good amount of boost. But you want something that's going to flex, and still hold together. Now I've got a couple, and of course I did go with 3-inch piping just because it'll leave me room to grow, and this will be one less thing I have to do in the future. Like, I also got this, and this is I found this off Amazon. Again, link will be in the description. But the UPGR 8, I know it's supposed to be upgrade, maybe, I don't know, upgrade racing. It is 2 inches on one side and 3 inches on the other side, and this is a 90-degree bend, and this will be to come off the turbo itself. So that'll come off the turbo compressor housing to my intercooler piping. And I think, because I wasn't sure which one to buy, which one I prefer to use, I bought two versions of a 2 to 3 inch coupler. And of course, I've got this one, and I've also got this one. And again, this brand, this is what it says, Tycon Innovations. Again, link will be in the description. But just from looking at it, it's pretty good quality. These are stiffer than the blue ones that I have, but again, these also cost more, again, per piece. It'd be easy for me to return one of these as opposed to buying one, realizing it doesn't work, and then trying to order and have to wait on that. So I just bought both. All right, so just so you have a better idea kind of what I'm working with. So I have the battery here. And I really don't see how I'm gonna make that fit. So what was the point of this thing?
It's similar to the vane stands online. A lot of the guys are doing those now. You still got one of those on the way though. So it's now. But now you have the ability to mount your clutch, firewall, and your transmission, everything you can get to it now. As opposed to when you use your traditional engine stand, you can't do that because
it mounts to where the transmission goes.
Yep. So now we can service the car, which is it's nice. If I had dimensions right, we could actually use it to set the car down on it. But this is just gonna be an engine stand in the garage.
It's not even budget.
I need to put transmission on.
So see what we were talking about. The transmission on it, and it still slides easily.
Yeah.
It didn't flex at all. All right, guys, you kind of see the results of our effort here. I actually got about 1/2 inch of space between the turbo. Now, obviously, you can still clock the turbo in different directions. Yeah, now I can go ahead and mount my new oil pan to this engine and then start making my drain line for this. All right, so I had to turn. Drill press is actually a little short. Had to pivot the head. I got a pretty clean hole. Got a little bit of cleaning up to do on the inside there. Then keep in mind when you do this, you want to get your hole above where the oil sits, above the oil level. So that's why I have mine up here. Now you can run an Evo pan. I think the Evo one is tapped over here, but you want to have, again, above the oil line, the oil level, which is going to sit around here, and you want to have just a nice gentle curve with no kinks in your line coming off of the turbo. So with that, I'm going to have about a 3-inch section of actual line, and it'll give a nice gradual fall to this section. And also keep in mind is you want to leave enough gap between here and there so that you can get the fitting on and turn it. Like I said, that should work out just fine. And I'm just going to clean the inside of that up. The outside. All right, so I got the hole cleaned up. This fits in there flush. I'm going to attempt to weld this from the inside. I think I may end up just doing it from the inside and the outside just to make sure I don't have any leaks. But I just used the wire wheel on my grinder. Took the paint off. Let's see if I can get this tacked up. All right, so I got it welded. Of course, I went ahead and cleaned it up just because with flux, it's so hard to get a pretty weld. Because there's just so much splatter. And it seems to be pretty clean because it welded. Again, it welded fairly easily. I'll put the link for this down in the description. It's just a stock replacement Galant oil pan. I think it was like 30 bucks off Amazon. Now, what I'll do also is because I did get a little bit of slag in there, is I'll just run my drill press through there. So what I'll do, of course, is just run my drill through here to clean this hole up. And then, of course, I may even put some tacks on the outside. We should be good to go. So I got the oil pan mounted back on the engine. When you're installing your turbo, you want your drains to be as straight up and down as possible. As you can see, there's a natural kind of flow as it angles down, and you're only going to need about like 3 or 4 inches of actual line here. So you're only going to have to worry about 3 or 4 inches of actual line, so you don't need much. And what these are, this is actually a brand I got off Amazon I never heard of called Evil Energy, and this is the packaging it comes in. Of course, it is made in China. They seem to be pretty high quality. These cost about like 10 bucks a piece, which again is not bad. That's with like prime shipping too, so you get them quick. And these are both 10 in. All right, guys, so I think I got this about wrapped up. So like I said, so what we had to do, just a quick overview, is weld in this spacer. I actually bought this. This was an inch spacer I got off of eBay. Took it to Trey. He actually welded it to the flange of the manifold, and we cut it down Actually, before we did that, and before we did that, of course, we cut it at an angle. So you see the back is thicker. The back is about 1/2 inch, and the front is like about 1/4 inch. So it gives you enough space to not only clear this, to not only clear the starter, but also clear the heat shield. So if you look, there's a little bit of space between the compressor housing and the heat shield. That's the moment of truth. So far, so good. Looks like I do have some space to get a downpipe in there. It's gonna be a tight squeeze though, because I am determined to keep my AC. So I might have to clock this compressor housing a little bit, but everything else looks pretty good. All right, so just so you have a better idea kind of what I'm working with. So I have the battery here. I really don't see how I'm gonna make that fit. It's nearing completion. Of course, I got my intercooler piping in place and cut. All right, once I get this welding in place, I'll really show you guys. But this is only 3 pieces because with intercooler piping, you want to have as shorter routing as possible. So this is, I think this was a U, an actual U bend. It's a 90 degree that comes here. Then a 45, which I had to cut at the top, which goes down to another 45, which connects just to a 90 degree coupler that's right here on the end of the intercooler. And on this side, it's even shorter. That's a 90 degree coupler. I think it's a 90 degree bend, or this might be the other half of the U, I believe, and just a straight that goes into a 90 degree coupler that came off of the turbo. So this is, but it sits pretty tight against the radiator, which is what I wanted. And again, ideally, you want to use as few couplers as possible, because couplers, anytime you run a coupler, you run the chance of having one pop off while under boost. So with this setup, of course, I'll just be running the 4 couplers. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm gonna go ahead and get my wastegate mounted to see what kind of space I'm working with. I had to actually order some piping, some 3-inch piping. I'm gonna attempt to make my own downpipe. I'm actually gonna spend about another $100 in parts and just fab up my own downpipe. Now, of course, this manifold here doesn't have the greatest placement. It is a little close to the AC compressor. And I do plan on keeping my AC. That's my entire goal with this, is to try to keep it as much of a street car as possible. But there's actually only about 3 inches, a little over 3 inches between the compressor and the back of the downpipe. So not only do I have to fit the downpipe in here, but I have to have enough space where it clears, of course, and I'll be able to wrap it with some heat wrap so it doesn't heat soak this thing and, you know, have this go bad prematurely. And I have to fit a wastegate and a dump tube in here. So we're going to see if I can make this work. You may not run into this problem. Again, if you go with a different manifold, all these manifolds place the turbo in a slightly different location. There's a professional car tuning shop around you, and they can probably make your intercooler piping for you and go ahead and weld it. Like, it shouldn't cost too much, especially if you provide the piping, and they can really do that for you if you don't feel comfortable with doing this. But again, with that said, if you don't feel comfortable doing this now, you're still not going to feel comfortable after you pay them. So you might as well just buy a kit. It comes with extra parts anyway, so in case you mess up like I did. All right, guys, Trey just dropped by and dropped off the intercooler piping. He welded up for me. If you look at this, stuff looks pretty good. Now, he's still working, still practicing, but he's getting better. And as you can see, like I said, everything looks pretty good. I'm extremely happy. He went ahead and put my the blow-off valve flange on here for me. And we went ahead and welded in a IAT sensor, a bung for IAT sensor, because I will be running speed density. But overall, I'm real happy. You see, there's not much to this pipe. When you're doing your intercooler piping, you want to have as little piping as possible, because the more pipe you have, the more chance you have for pressure drop. And we'll go ahead and get this thing installed real quick and show you what it looks like. All right, guys, so there it is. Got everything installed. We just got the blow-off valve sitting in here. It's not tightened down, but everything fits. You should be able to shake it. Your pipe and not hear it hit anything, so it's clearing all the way around. And I can adjust this, actually. We have enough space where I can pull this out and have it sitting further away from the radiator. But right now, there's about a 1/4 inch gap. And again, you can shake it without it hitting anything. So that's, because now I can really start buttoning this thing up, because all I have to do is make the downpipe. I went ahead and ordered just a generic dump tube, because I think with the angle and how much space I have, I don't have to go too crazy there. It's really just, you know, getting the downpipe fabbed up and we can get on the way. I'm just really excited about this. Again, we're so close to being completely done with this thing and just being able to see this stuff in here. Now I'm going to switch to a half battery. That's actually why I've got this in here. I got this from the junkyard. It's a little plastic tray that goes inside of the Honda battery. I'm gonna use this to help me mock up a space for the new battery. I'm thinking I'll still keep it in the same location, maybe even a little bit lower. I may drop it down a little bit and modify that existing bracket. But other than that, everything's looking good. Car's coming together. And hopefully in the next video, I can actually give you guys a first startup. I do want to say one thing, and I guess I'll let Trey explain this in detail a little bit later. But one thing you worry about with these aluminum kits, especially these cheaper ones, is that if it's not pure aluminum, it's be hard to weld. He said he didn't have any real issue welding this stuff. So it appears to be a good kit. Again, got this off Amazon. Link will be down in the description. Those links, by the way, are affiliate links. So anything you buy using those links does help me out. So thank you guys for that who have made purchases. All right, so that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can make sure we get this information out to other Eclipse and Galant enthusiasts, so we kind of bring these back. Like I said, I'm super pumped with the job that Trey did. Again, I'm really impressed. I got everything done. The intercooler piping has turned out really well. And of course, that was another huge obstacle. So as we move forward, we can keep troubleshooting because I'm sure there'll be a few things I need to work out. And plus, I still have to finish the interior, which I've been putting off just because I want to get the car running. But every day we take another step. I do a little something every day. I have been really busy. So that's why this is taking a while. But with that aside, we are nearing the end. So again, stay tuned. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. So I should be having more videos coming out more frequently. So just stay tuned for that and have a great day.